Across cities worldwide, stress, anxiety, and burnout are rising. But right in the middle of our busiest neighborhoods, something simple and overlooked is quietly improving our health. Green spaces aren't just aesthetic, they're a part of a larger system connecting human health, urban planning, ecological function, and social equity. My name is Gary Williams, and I aim to answer one question. How does exposure to greenery, such as parks, trees, or sustainable landscape, influence mental well-being? Green infrastructure has a powerful and measurable impact upon our mental health, and studies have shown that it benefits people across multiple socioeconomic levels. Anxiety and depression affect millions globally, especially in dense urban environments. To understand why green spaces matter, we have to look at the issue as a system. Ecological components, social patterns, and built-up environment design all interact to influence mental health. And who better to see these true impacts than an ASU student themselves? Do you use campus green spaces to relax or decompress?
Yeah, that's where I go to do my homework.
Like, what's a specific place around, like, campus or something that you might use?
I always go to Vista, like between classes and work, because I work on campus. I always go and do my homework outside usually, like at Vista, that little seating outside.
Okay. How do parks or nature spots impact your daily stress?
I feel like I don't see enough parks for it to have an impact.
Would you benefit from more green areas on campus or in Tempe?
I would, especially with this winter weather. I love just taking a stroll and like actually having fun with my walk rather than booking it to class. And I'd love to look at nature while I do it.
While simple on the outside, this feedback system with positive and negative loops can help us create a standard and an idea of what green spaces can do for our society. Here we see systems interacting: the ecological system, which contains trees, shade, biodiversity; the social system, which contains students seeking mental refuge; and the technological side, which includes design choices like shade structures, walkway layout, and water use technology. For this project specifically, I defined system boundaries as the immediate neighborhood, campus, and surrounding urban area where human behavior, ecological features, and infrastructure interact daily. And the positive and negative loops serve as a causation for our actions as well. Poor upkeep, for instance, leads to lower use, which leads to less support and reduced funding, going all the way back to poor upkeep, essentially keeping themselves stuck into a negative loop or a system. These loops and components help us to set a standard of what we need to do going forward to make sure that we keep these sustainable infrastructures to benefit more mental health.
Things like green spaces, as well as well-lit through sunlight rooms and environments, can reduce cortisol levels, as well as contributing directly to people's mental well-being, making them more happy, and in some cases in workplaces more productive as well. Urban design is a way to connect these ideas of sustainability, environmental psychology with the physical world that people live in, acting as a bridge that creates these spaces where people are more productive and better off mentally.
When we talk about why parks, trees, and nature-centered infrastructure matters, it's not just about having pretty spaces. It's about real, measurable impacts on people's lives. Research consistently shows that when communities are surrounded by greenery, their overall well-being rises. For example, Mitchell and Poppin's work in 2008 found that communities with more exposure to green environments experienced the lowest levels of health inequality. In other words, the benefits of green spaces weren't limited to one socioeconomic group, they lifted everyone. To add on to that, Bayer and colleagues in 2014 also showed that greener neighborhoods were associated with fewer symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress. Their findings make it clear that even modest increases in green space can have meaningful mental health effects. And in 2017, Wood and his team highlighted that it's not just access to green spaces that matters, but also the amount of diversity of these spaces. More variety, such as parks, trails, trees, and gardens, was strongly tied to higher levels of reported well-being. This isn't just a social system, it's an ecological one. Green spaces provide essential ecosystem services like cooling cities through shade, improving air quality, and storing carbon, and supporting pollinators. They even shape biogeochemical cycles. Trees feed into the carbon cycle, soil helps filter water, and vegetation plays a role in the nitrogen cycling. And when all of these natural and human elements interact, something bigger emerges, a community-level sense of well-being. The emergent property isn't found in a single tree or park bench. It comes from the whole system working together. Nature, people, and infrastructure reinforcing each other to create healthier, more resilient communities. Have you ever gone to a park to deal with like stress or burnout?
Yes, I used to go to this local park here by my house called Sunray Park after classes in high school to just kind of chill out and sit on the bench and do homework. It was very nice.
Do you notice a difference in your mindset when you spend time outside?
Yeah, like I'm sick right now and I've been walking around campus just before class and I feel a lot better with the fresh air. It's a little bit humid, but it's pretty nice.
What's your favorite nature spot on or around campus?
I like the Secret Garden because there's typically not a lot of people in there. It's very quiet. It's kind of secluded, so I can hear all the birds, see all the plants, just get my homework done.
The evidence is clear. Sustainable green infrastructure plays a crucial role in supporting mental health. 2 chapters from our book that are super instrumental in creating 4 strong strategies to increase inclusivity and equitability among these green spaces to support mental health would have to be Chapter 1, talking about the 3 E's, and 9.7, how can humans repair and sustain the land. The 4 strategies we were able to create from the 2 chapters would be: number 1, the increase of tree canopy in urban zones, reduces heat, supports mental health and equity, which would prioritize low-income neighborhoods. 2, we would design walkable green corridors linking parks. This encourages use, supports biodiversity, and enhances social cohesion. And then we would look into green roofing and shade structures on college campuses, specifically on ASU, looking at sustainable infrastructure, and it would support stress relief via accessible microgreen spaces. And 4, we would invest in equitable access. This ties back to Wood's findings on quantity and access and helps us close the well-being gaps among socioeconomic groups. Green spaces aren't optional, they're essential. By supporting sustainable landscape design, pushing for greener campuses, and prioritizing ecological health and urban planning, we can create communities where mental well-being is supported by the environments we live in.